Our final inductee of the evening was a two-time All-American basketball player, and he turned his team around to PSAC West Champions. We good? Good. And national tournament participants. Ladies and gentlemen, Don Wilson. Well, everybody else has shared their story of how they came to Clarion. Nobody else's included a story about how they also recruited somebody else to come to Clarion. So I'm hoping you could share maybe your first experience with Coach Ron Galbreath and the Clarion basketball team.
Yeah, basically we expected Tom Beck to be the new coach because John Joy was going to retire. And we thought it was going to be good that way. All of a sudden I get a phone call and it's Ron Galbreath. I said, who? He said, Ron Galbreath. He said, I'm going to be your new coach. I went, what? He says, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to come up and visit you and your parents. And basically we're going to talk and then we're going to take a little road trip. I said, okay. So he came up, he could have been, very polite. My parents loved him. And he said, you think you still want to come to Clarion? I said, yep, I do. And he said, we're going to take a ride and we're going to see somebody by the name of Joe Sebastian. I said, who's he? He said, well, he's on the fence. He's not sure if he wants to come to Clarion or not. So we took a drive down to Hermitage, down to Sharon, and met his family. And met Joe.
I don't think that's you. It's okay. Yeah, you're
okay.
Fine.
I keep turning my head. I'd probably fall. Couldn't have been nicer. Joe and I basically hit it off right away. And his mom is a tremendous cook. She always had a snack there for us, so that was really good. And all the way home, Coach Galbreath said, well, what do you think? And I said, well, we're going to be roommates, we're going to be teammates. I said, we're going to turn this program around. And with the help of a lot of people, we did. So,
you got some really good advice on the academic side of things as well. You mentioned before that one of the best pieces of advice you got here at Clarion was from an academic advisor. Tell us about that.
Well, one of the first things you do when you're a freshman is you meet with your advisor. And I met with him, and I wish I knew his name. I'd love to go see him if he's still here. Went in and sat down with him, and he says, okay. He said, you're going to play basketball and so forth. I said, yep. He said, what would you like to do with your life, though? And I said, play basketball. He said, well, no, that's great. But he said, what would you like to do past basketball? I said, play basketball. He said, okay, I can see where this is going.
Yeah, you're good.
And he said, you know what? He says, I'm going to lead you in a certain direction. And he said, it's not coming, is it? There it is. I want to lead you in a certain direction. He said, they're going to look for men in the elementary school. It's not
I'm not sure, yeah.
You can still hear me, right? Should I yell like I usually do? Okay.
I would say just keep going.
Okay.
Here, tell you what, you want to.
That's fine. And he said they're going to look for men in elementary school within 4 years. He said, I would lead you towards elementary school. He said, I think you'd be a good elementary school teacher. I said, okay. And I did, and I was a successful teacher for 35 years in the Fairview School District up near Erie. Loved every minute of it. I was a fourth grade teacher and retired in 2011. Thank you.
Maybe if we get a wire hanger and we all join hands.
I don't know. I think you're just doing this because I'm old. I think you're trying to torture me.
Nothing up my sleeve, I swear.
Let's see. Where was I? And she's retiring this year, and she was also a teacher in the same school district I was in, and it was great. So, go ahead. You can go on to the next one.
Oh,
I think we're done with that one.
The story of your 1,000th point is the story of the 1,000th point that almost wasn't. Tell us a little bit about how you got to that one in the final games of your career.
Well, yeah, that was probably the toughest moment of my life. We were playing Pitt Johnstown. It was an away game, and kind of a little storyline to that was they used to carry the games on radio. They would have radio, and a lot of my friends, when I left, said, you're only 11 points away from your 1,000th point. When you get to 998 or 999, fake an injury. Okay, I said, yeah, right, I would do that. And went to the game, and it was partway through the first half, jumped up to block a guy's shot. I had no business trying to block his shot. He was about 6'10", And when I came down, I landed on his foot, and I heard a pop. And it hurt, and I went off the floor, and I thought, oh, I can get through this, whatever. Didn't get back in the game, and it got sore and sore. Went back to the dorm, and when I walked in, the first 4 people there was, I cannot believe you faked an injury so that you could score your 1,000th point here. I said, no, I didn't. Oh, come on, and they did for the first half hour. They didn't believe me, until they saw what my foot looked like. And the next day I went and I had it looked at, and it was a green stick fracture, and they were going to put a cast on it. And I said, nope, not putting a cast on it. I went to practice next day. I said, I'll try to get through this. And going this way was okay, and shooting was okay, but I could not go sideways at all. And Coach knew that, and he said, we'll put a cast. I said, no. I said, leave the cast off. I said, if you need me, I'm there. And I ended up getting in a couple games late in the season, but the 1,000th point itself was against the Lions, and it was a home game, and he waited till towards the end of the game and put me in, and my foot looked about this big. They had it all taped up and so forth. First time down the floor, they got me the ball, and I missed a short jump shot, and the guy says, well, I'm not going to guard you. I'll foul you. I said, don't you dare foul me. So you foul me, you're in trouble. I said, if I can't score this on my own, I said, I don't want it. And he said, okay. So he's all over me, and of course everybody was mad at him. Next time down the floor, they got me the ball, and I made a short jump shot, and I got the 1,000 point, and got into a couple games during the playoffs and shot technicals and got a couple extra points. So it was a long haul. It was not fun. So
You mentioned Coach Galbreath. Obviously, he meant a lot to you in your athletic career, but also beyond athletics, he meant a lot to you as a mentor. Tell us a little bit about him.
Yeah, Coach Galbreath was amazing. The first thing he wanted to do, of course, if anybody knows Ron Galbreath, he was a tremendous racquetball player. And he wanted us to play racquetball, and it was very good, for you, for your legs, for everything. And he also would play with us. And Joe remembers this, I'm sure, and Pete. He could shoot. I mean, the man could really shoot, and he was only about 30 years old at that point. Tremendous individual. He cared about you. Like I remember times when he would say, "You got a D on that test on." Well, what happened there? And I said, well, "How do you find that out already? Come on." But he was always concerned about you as a person, you as an individual, and I respect him highly for that. There's only one time that I really kind of didn't like the man. And I'll have to go through that very shortly. There was one game, and it was my senior year, and never in my entire life did I not play and not start a game. And I'd had a rough couple games that just couldn't find the hoop, and it was just the first time I really couldn't put it together. Didn't say a thing, but when we were sitting down before the game, he always named the starting five and put our hands together and went out, and he named the starting five, and I wasn't in there. And I remember half my teammates. I remember Joe walked up and he goes, "What's going on? What's going on?" I said, "I don't know." He didn't say anything to me. I'm trying to think what I did. I'm trying to think, what did I do? Did I do something in practice? Did I do something someplace else? And never said a thing. And I warmed up, but I didn't shoot. I didn't do anything. I was in shock. Sat down towards the end of the bench. I just wanted to just be, everybody's saying, what's wrong? What's going on? Nothing. I don't know. So about 3/4 away for the first half, he comes down to the end of the bench. He kneels down in front of me, looks at me, and he goes, "You ready to play?" I said, "You better believe I'm ready to play. I'm ready to go now." And went in and probably had one of the best games I've ever had. I think I made my first 8 shots in the first half with only 7 minutes into the half, and then second half, same thing. I think it was 10 for 12 from the floor. So disliking him at the time, when I look back on it, most definitely he did the right thing. He did exactly what he needed to do as a coach to put me right there, and I respect him for that. So,
Don, who would you like to thank?
Well, first my family. I've got my sons here, Dawn and Matt, and my daughter Sarah, and their significant others, Brooke, Amanda, and Ed. And I also want to thank 2 surprises who came tonight, my brother-in-law John and a good friend of ours, Doug. They're on their way to their hunting camp, and they decided to come up here first. I'm supposed to be at hunting camp too, but I'm not. So I'll be thinking about you guys tomorrow morning, but I appreciate them surprising me. That was very nice. I also want to thank my teammates that are here. We got Pete Belcher. I just call him freshman. He was a freshman when I was a senior. And Pete used to bug me every day. He wanted to play one-on-one, want to play one-on-one. So we play. I beat him all the time. It was just ridiculous. And one time he beat me. And to this day, he keeps asking me, he said, did you give me that game or did I actually beat you? And I haven't told him. So right now, I'm going to tell you, just think about it. You just never know. And my roommate of 4 years and my teammate of 4 years, Joe Sebastian, who you all know, him and I really worked hard at what we did, and there was a lot of people, our teammates, supporters, and so forth, that really helped us get there. Him and I knew what each other were thinking each time we were there. He was down low, I was outside, and we worked very well together, and I appreciate all the time that he did with us also. And I also want to thank one more individual that's not here. He's our teammate, Elmer Crowling, that passed away 3 years ago. He was our point guard. He had cancer and passed away, and he was probably the most unsung hero on our team. He deserved an awful lot more because when he was on the floor, defensively, offensively, leading the team, he was the best, and he made us better. And last, I want to thank my wife. You most certainly have been supportive of me. She's the one that's the calming person with me, and she's the one that says, now, when you go up there, don't talk too loud. So obviously, you must have done something with that because it wasn't working. And also my parents. They're not here. They were my best supporters. They both passed away way too young. They never missed a game except for one. We were playing Mansfield, and there was a blizzard, naturally from Erie, Pennsylvania. You got to deal with that. And they didn't show up. Of course, back then we didn't have phones. And so you couldn't get a hold of them. So I look up in the crowd, and there's Mr. and Mrs. Sebastian up where, and my parents always sat with them, and they weren't there. And I thought, oh my, what happened? Of course, you don't know. Well, here, they were pulling on to 79, and the state cop was there, had it blocked, and said, you can't go because it's closed down. He said, you don't understand. You don't understand. My son is playing basketball. And he says, I've never missed a game in his entire life, and I'm going. You're going to either throw me in jail, or else that's just the way it is. My mother said, oh my God, she said, I thought for sure he was going to jail. I thought for sure the man was going to jail. But she finally talked him out of driving in that kind of weather and went back home. And that's the only game they ever missed. And I love them dearly, and I miss them. So.
Ladies and gentlemen, Don Wilson.